Have you ever looked at her phone habits and felt something didn't add up, even though nothing obvious was wrong? Not a suspicious message, not a late night call you can point to, just small shifts. Her screen always face down now, notifications gone before you ever see them. She's busy online, but somehow unavailable to you. Conversations still happen, but they feel delayed, filtered, managed. And you start asking yourself a quiet question you don't really want to admit. Why does it feel like I'm no longer part of her digital world? Most men are taught that noticing things like this means you're controlling, that if you pay attention to patterns, you must be insecure. But there's another way to look at it. Sometimes what feels like jealousy is simply your awareness noticing a change in access, in transparency, in emotional presence. This video isn't here to make you suspicious of everything. It's here to help you see what's actually changing, so you're not guessing, not accusing, and not lying to yourself about what you already feel. There's a very small moment, but a very clear one. Her phone screen lights up. She glances at it, locks it, puts it down, and suddenly the rhythm between the two of you changes. There is no obvious message. There is nothing you can point at and say, there it is. Just a series of tiny changes in the way she uses her phone. And inside you, something starts to tighten. Men usually ignore moments like this, not because they do not feel them, but because they do not want to become suspicious, controlling, or irrationally jealous. Your mind whispers, she is probably busy. She is probably tired. I am probably overthinking. But your intuition does not argue. It just knocks, softly, steadily, and it does not go away. Doubt, when understood correctly, is not weakness. It is a self-protective reflex, like when you walk into a room and feel the atmosphere shift slightly. You do not know why, but you feel it. In the digital age, emotion comes first. Technology only follows to serve that emotion. People do not cheat with their phones, they cheat with their feelings. The phone is just where those feelings pass through. So the real question is not, is she hiding something on her phone? It is, what is the way she protects her phone saying about my place in her emotional world? Her logic does not teach you to distrust women. It teaches you to read digital behavior patterns instead of clinging to reassurance, not interrogating, not snooping, not controlling. You are not a cop. You are a man with self-respect who knows how to observe, not to accuse anyone, but to stop lying to yourself. Imagine this. Before, her phone was just there, open, normal. Now it is always in her hand. Always face down, always out of your view. Nothing is clearly wrong, but something has changed its rhythm. And what makes you uncomfortable is not the phone. It is the feeling that you are no longer standing in the center of the digital world of the person you love. If you have ever had a moment like this, just leave a very short comment. I have felt this. Or simply, yes, no explanation needed, just so you know you are not the only one who has felt it. Because from here, we are going to start naming very specific digital patterns, not to jump to conclusions, but to help you understand what your relationship is really saying. Even when the words are trying to make everything look fine, there is a very important principle in her logic. You do not observe the state. You observe the change. Someone using their phone a lot does not mean anything by itself, but someone who suddenly uses their phone differently always has a reason. That reason is not always another person, but it is always an emotional shift. And here are the first two digital clues. Clue 1. The phone never leaves her hand. Behavior. She takes her phone everywhere. To the kitchen, to the bathroom, to the balcony, even when she only steps away from you for a few minutes. Before, she could leave it on the table, on the couch, in her bag. Now, the phone feels like part of her body. Psychology. When someone has a new emotional connection, they protect the gateway to that connection, not because they want to deceive you, but because they do not want to lose the feeling they are getting. At this point, the phone is no longer just a tool. It is where emotion passes through. Men's common mistake. You reassure yourself. It is probably just a habit. It is probably work. I am probably overthinking. But you forget the most important thing. Before, she was not like this. Her logic, you do not judge, you do not ask. You simply note the change. Not once, but repeatedly. If the phone always goes with her, then it is holding some kind of emotional role. If you have ever seen this comment, yes. Clue 2. Notifications are suddenly off or hidden. Behavior. Before, when a message came in, you saw the pop-up. You heard the vibration, you could glance at it. Now, nothing shows up anymore, but strangely, she still replies very fast, which means a message comes in, you do not see it, but she does. Psychology, people do not hide harmless things. They hide things that could raise questions. Not because you did something wrong, but because there is something they are not ready for you to see. Men's common mistake. You think, she probably turned off notifications to focus. She probably just does not want to be disturbed. But why do only some notifications disappear? Her logic. You compare before and after. Not between her and someone else, but between the old version and the current version of her. When a relationship changes its rhythm, the way she uses technology changes its rhythm too. The first two clues are always subtle, not enough to conclude anything, but enough to make you start seeing differently, not with suspicion, but with awareness. In part 3, we will go deeper into the unconscious signs, the behaviors she cannot fully control with logic. After everything you've just seen, you're probably not sitting with clarity. You're sitting with tension, not the kind that explodes, but the kind that quietly loops in your head. You don't feel certain enough to accuse, but you don't feel calm enough to relax either. And taken one by one, each of those behaviors still feels small, explainable, easy to dismiss if you really want to. But the real issue is almost never one action. It's the rhythm of the relationship changing underneath you. It's the overall direction things are drifting in, like a room that gets warmer so slowly you don't notice until you're already uncomfortable. Like a steering wheel turned just a few degrees, and miles later you're nowhere near the road you thought you were on. Or like a low background noise that plays for so long, silence starts to feel strange. What matters isn't just what she does, it's what you start doing internally to adapt. When you find yourself constantly re-explaining things to yourself, when your mind keeps saying, it's probably nothing, I'm just tired, I'm overthinking again. That self-talk isn't weakness, it's information. Not about guilt, not about blame, but about how your sense of stability is quietly being negotiated away. And this is where things begin to shift. The patterns that come next aren't vague. They don't live in confusion. They live in the way a man slowly loses his footing inside the relationship without noticing it's happening. This is the part where many people look back later and realize they didn't miss the signs. They just didn't trust what they were already feeling. If you've ever been in that space, stay with me. From here, things shift from habits to reflexes. And reflexes are harder to hide than words. You can act with your mouth, but your body and the way you use your phone tells the truth. Clue 3. She places her phone face down when she is with you. Behavior. She sits with you. She puts her phone on the table, but face down. Or angled away from your line of sight. Once does not mean anything, but if it becomes a repeated pattern, then it is no longer random. Psychology. This is an unconscious protective reflex. Like when you have something you do not want others to see, your hand automatically covers it. She does not have to think, let me hide this. Her body already did it. Men's common mistake. You pretend not to notice. You tell yourself, it is probably nothing. But inside, you also start to feel more tense. And that tension does not come from imagination. It comes from the lack of alignment between behavior and emotion. Her logic, you do not react right away. You note the pattern, not one night, but many nights. Not one angle, but every angle. If you are starting to recognize this, please like the video. Clue 4. She is online a lot, but barely replies to you. Behavior. She is active online. You see her online. Stories still go up, posts still get liked, but your messages, they get slow replies, short replies, no emotion anymore. Psychology. Emotional priority creates time priority. People do not lack time. They only lack time for those who are no longer the emotional center. When a new connection appears, it pulls energy, and that energy has to come from somewhere. Men's common mistake. You text more, you ask more, you try harder, but the more you do that, the more you drop out of the attractive position. Because you are chasing attention instead of holding your value. Her logic. You reduce your investment. Not to play games, but to check the rhythm. If you take one step back and she does not step forward, then you already have your answer about where you stand. These two clues hurt because they do not say she has someone else. They say you are no longer the emotional priority. And that is the hardest truth to accept. In part 4, we will move into the signs of exit preparation, the behaviors that show she may be getting ready for a world that might not include you anymore. From here, we are no longer talking about reflexes. We are talking about intentional behavior, not loud, not obvious, but very consistent. Clue 5. Deleting history, erasing traces. Behavior, empty message threads. Call logs wiped, stories disappearing quickly, an inbox that stays unusually clean. Not once, but often. Psychology. When there is something to hide, people clear an exit path, not to deceive you, but to avoid having to explain. Things are not deleted for cleanliness. They are deleted so someone can live in two worlds without letting them touch. Men's common mistake. You think, maybe she just likes things tidy. Or, I am probably overthinking it. But your intuition does not come from one moment. It comes from frequency, her logic. You do not confront. You observe the frequency and the change from before. You do not need to know what she deletes. You only need to ask, why does she need to delete anything at all? Follow her logic. If you want to read digital behavior without losing yourself. Clue 6. She gets tense when you touch her phone. Behavior. You are just checking the time, just changing the music, just holding the phone for her. But she notices immediately. The eyes, the movement, a subtle tension. Psychology. Tension appears when there is a private zone that someone does not want crossed, not because you did something wrong, but because you touched an area that no longer fully belongs to the relationship. Men's common mistake, you reassure against yourself. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I am just being sensitive. But your feeling comes from energy, not imagination. Her logic, separate what you feel from what she explains. Your feeling is data. Her words are only a response. She is not afraid of losing you in the digital world. Behavior, you go quiet in chat and she does not ask. You stop interacting and she does not pull you back. You disappear from her digital world and no one comes looking. The perspective shift. The danger is not who she is talking to. The danger is this: you are no longer a priority in her digital world. When someone is still invested, they feel your absence. When someone has already shifted, your absence creates no space at all. The most painful part is not the truth. It is that you have grown used to standing behind the screen of your own relationship. Her logic does not teach you to hunt for evidence. It teaches you to read digital patterns, protect your self-respect, and choose the position you deserve. Self-respect is greater than holding onto a relationship that has lost its rhythm. No one is the villain. Two people are simply no longer moving in the same direction. If today you stopped trying to maintain contact, would she actively reconnect? Her logic is not just the name of a channel. It is a mindset that helps you stay in a relationship without losing yourself. If her logic just put words to something you have never been able to say, leave a comment. And if you want to keep learning how to read between the lines without sacrificing your value, subscribe to her logic. And before we end, let's gently put the focus back where it truly belongs. Not on whether she is right or wrong, not on whether your interpretation is perfect, but on something quieter and more personal, how much respect you are still giving yourself inside this relationship. Because in the long run, what shapes your life isn't her behavior, it's how you respond to it. A lot of men carry the belief, if I just hold on a little longer, things will make sense. So they stay patient, they stay silent, they stay hopeful. But sometimes staying isn't strength anymore. Sometimes it's just fear wearing the mask of loyalty. And in those moments, stepping back isn't failure. It's not giving up. It's simply the moment you stop arguing with what you already feel and start listening to it. That's what her logic is really about. Not turning you into a suspicious man, not giving you tools to control anyone, and definitely not building a mindset against women. Her logic is a way of observing without panicking, a way of staying calm when emotions want to rush ahead of truth. And most importantly, a compass of self-respect, something you can carry with you so you don't lose yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. So before you worry about what she might be doing in secret, ask yourself this: are you staying because you feel chosen? Or because you're afraid of what you'll have to face if you stop looking away? If you've ever stood in that space, you don't need to defend yourself here. You're not being judged. But if you want to share what that moment felt like for you, you're welcome to, quietly, honestly. And if you want to keep your mind clear, your reactions grounded, and your dignity intact, her logic will be here. Not to push you, not to pull you, just to walk with you while you stay awake, steady, and self-respecting.